right, Mr. Heck, what's happening?
Going to be painting a portrait of Kermit the Frog. Let's start with his ping pong eye.
Speaking of ping pongs, you were telling me the other day
Well,
about his Jim Henson's original Kermit puppet.
I was listening to an audiobook of a biography of Jim Henson, and they happened to be talking about him creating the first Kermit the Frog, looking for stuff in his mom's house, used her code, and used the ping pong ball cut in half to create Kermit's eyes. And then I was kind of asking for a sign from Jim Henson again that I'm on the right track here with what I'm doing. And when I went to the gym...
How long ago was this?
Yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
And I found a ping pong ball on the floor. So I didn't know where it came from. And then I remembered listening the day before about him creating Kermit with the ping pong ball.
Was there a ping pong table in that place?
No, I looked because I didn't think there was, but I still have no idea where a ping pong ball came from.
It's pretty cool.
I've seen people working out with medicine balls there, but not ping pong balls.
And how did it make you feel?
Maybe that it was a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Because beginning this whole project of working on Muppet paintings kind of started with me asking for a sign from Jim Henson about doing this, because I resisted doing known characters and stuff in my paintings and was asked for many years and I refused to do it, and then just had a series of events that led us to a Cookie Monster puppet, and then driving with Cookie Monster in the car back from a trip and thinking about doing this Jim Henson inspired Muppet exhibition. I asked Jim Henson to give me a sign that I should do it, and we saw right outside the window a cloud that was in the shape of Cookie Monster that you would swear was photoshopped. It was so perfect. And I took that as a big sign. So I kind of believe in signs. And
Who was in the back seat?
Cookie Monster was actually buckled in the back seat, taking the trip with us at the time. Made it even more of a sign.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that.
Mm-hmm. And Jim Henson has been there in my artistic life from when I was very young. And I think Sesame Street started about 1969, and I was, I think, either kindergarten or first grade at that point, although I may have been a little bit above the age group for Sesame Street and more, well, kind of in the middle of Sesame Street and the Electric Company, which came on after Sesame Street. But I was always attracted to the bright colors and the puppets and all of that, so I was a fan from the beginning, and then into the Muppet Show and everything else that he did, Fraggle Rock. And when I was asked by people who my favorite artists or influences were, I always said Jim Henson.
was just curious why you named this show The Heck with Henson.
Well, kind of a play on my name, of course, because people always say the heck with it instead of like the hell with it, but I always take it as a good thing, the heck with something. And then just the H's in both our names, so just the heck with Henson is like kind of a double meaning. And then the second tagline of the show is a love letter to Jim Henson, which it is. Always had a thing for Kermit the Frog from the start, and then Cookie Monster.
Is it because you know how to do his voice?
I just found his voice also comforting. But when people always asked me who my favorite artist or influences were, I always included Jim Henson because I was always attracted to the puppets and his whole aesthetic, how he made his characters, and then on to, grew up kind of with him then with the Muppet Show and Fraggle Rock. He was kind of always there and influenced me. Which was also the influence when I started working with you, Kimmy Schwimmy, a children performer, because I got to work with children products and educational stuff, and then puppets, and music. So it was kind of like being a little bit of like a Jim Henson.
Well, I have a epiphany.
An epiphany? Tell me.
You said something when you've been listening to Jim Henson's audiobook, and you said something that he never wanted to really be into puppets. He was more of an artist.
Well, yeah, he said many times that he wanted to get into television, and the puppet thing kind of was a means to an end. He didn't really intend to do that, and would question himself occasionally about, what am I doing with these puppets? Or other people would ask him, what are you doing with these puppets? And he wasn't always quite sure that that was his road. He wanted to be a set designer and just be in television, but the puppets kind of led him down that road and allowed him to do everything he wanted to do, but he didn't know that was going to be the road. And what was your epiphany?
Well, because I don't know why I thought you said he wanted to be like an artist, like graphic.
No, yeah, he even went to Paris to paint one time and kind of left.
Really?
Yeah, he left it for a little while and let Jane continue running it. But then when he was in Europe, he saw that puppets were kind of revered. It was an art form there, where in the United States it was kind of like, what are you doing with these puppets? But in Europe, it was an art form, and people took it serious. And then he started, visiting all these different puppet festivals and things. And then when he came back with a renewed zest for doing puppets.
Okay, this is my epiphany. You are an artist. He's an artist. You love puppets. And so I think you're connecting to him on the artist level and the puppet level. And you're also a musician, which is why I think you were attracted to me. I was working with puppets too, but not my own.
Well, not at first, and then we made
yeah.
your own together.
Who was the one who got you to use a puppet for the first time in public? On a train going to Sylt in Germany.
That would be you.
You want to tell the story?
And that would have been Cookie Monster.
We had just bought Cookie Monster from
we were
little
traveling,
train station.
Doing shows in Europe and Germany, and we're taking a train at the Hamburg station to go to the island of Sylt. And there was a wonderful puppet store in that train station that unfortunately was closed. And our train was coming soon, but you had the wonderful idea to go back up while I waited with the suitcases to see if they had opened yet. And then you got them to open it for you. And then you came back with the puppet that I wanted, which was the big giant Cookie Monster puppet. and another puppet that looked like popcorn.
I'm about to go in here and I'm gonna buy him.
And so started our puppet adventure on a train running across Germany. And we had to sit next to two elderly, well, not too elderly, German women who were not very happy with our sitting next to them. And then I had Cookie Monster in a big bag under the table, and you wanted me to take him out. I looked at the woman next to me and shook my head, no.
Look at the camera.
No. And then you said, I don't dare you as a man, but I dare you as a little boy. Damn. I had to take the puppet out. So I whipped my puppet out. And then we got the rest of the train laughing, not so much those two women, and then had to move to another car, which actually turned out better because that car was filled with children going on a school trip.
Talk very good.
Then we started putting some photographs that we took on social media of me with Cookie Monster. Shows, and people started responding to it, and people started bringing cookies to me at my shows and requesting to see Cookie Monster. So that's kind of how it kind of happened then, that I thought, okay, maybe I can do some Muppet images, and there's a reason for it. Mm. And that led to Cookie Monster traveling with us, and then me asking for a sign, because I started getting more and more excited, and ideas and images were coming to me, but I wanted to make sure it was okay with Jim. So I asked him for a sign that I should be doing this. And
because how do you feel, like in general, when you go to Germany and see Mickey Mouse everywhere and Chanel and?
I never agreed with, I mean, it's okay sometimes, but there was just too many people just doing well-known characters and adding like Louis Vuitton or Chanel or something to it just to be with what's popular out there and to make a sale. And I never believed in that. I need a reason to do something. So I was asked many times by gallery owners to do like Mickey Mouse and Snoopy and all that kind of stuff, and I just never felt called to do it. But this kind of just happened naturally, and then I started getting all of the inspiration and ideas, and then it was just flowing.
Let's rewind. Because it goes back. There was another instance where you were...
When I was in
how
college.
Old? Yeah, in college.
I was in college.
In New York City.
The School of Visual Arts. And I had a school project with a class where we had to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and see an exhibit and then do a project based on that. But as I got out of the train station on Fifth Avenue and was walking to the beginning of Central Park to go along the park down to the Metropolitan Museum, I saw that they were making a movie in the beginning of the park. And it was all roped off, and it turned out they were filming a Muppet movie. And they had ropes, you know, blocking off and police guarding it. And then I saw, as I was walking by, I saw Jim Henson talking to someone. I was like, oh my God, I would love to talk to Jim Henson. Because at the time, I was working with an older artist, and we were working on a lot of children's types of stories and artwork. And I thought Jim Henson would be a great guy to talk to about that.
What do you mean? To get advice or?
Well, yeah, maybe get advice, or stupidly thought maybe Jim Henson would need some ideas, which is laughable. But I just wanted to meet Jim Henson because I was such a huge fan. But I thought it would be impossible, so I went on my way to go to the museum, and then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, what have I got to lose? I'm going to give it a shot and see if I could talk to him. So I turned around and I went back, and it just so happened that I was dressed and looked like everyone else that was on that crew. I had long hair down my back, I was wearing jeans and a very popular jacket at the time, members only. I'm dating myself to the 80s now. And so I just confidently went past the policemen and went under the rope, and they just gave me a second glance and let me go because I looked like I belonged there. And I went in, I just waited for Jim Henson to finish his conversation. And meanwhile, they were setting up a scene with Frank Oz and Miss Piggy. Frank Oz was on his back on a little dolly thing, and there was a woman holding Miss Piggy, combing her hair and fixing her for the next scene. So as soon as Jim Henson finished, I went up to him and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Henson?" And he said, "Yes." Kind of sounded a little bit like a softer spoken Kermit the Frog. And I introduced myself, he shook my hand. And then I started to go into why I wanted to meet him and this and that. And he raised up his finger like this for a second. And I thought at that point he was going to have me removed from the set. But he said, "Have you had lunch?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "1 second," because he was on a break because they were filming Miss Piggy. So he called someone over and they got us a soda and hot dog from a vendor. And we proceeded to have a hot dog, and I talked to him for at least 15, 20 minutes, it seemed.
You had a hot dog with Jim Henson.
I know, in New York.
And you love hot dogs.
Yeah. You know, I was telling him about working with another guy about children's things, and he took my phone number that I scribbled on a piece of paper, and he said, "Don't expect me to call you tomorrow because I have a lot of projects I'm working on." And he started telling me about some of his projects, including the Dark Crystal. And he said that that wasn't getting a lot of support from people because it was so far out of his wheelhouse. There were no well-known Muppets in it, and it was a little bit darker. But he said he didn't care about that he just wanted to see his characters and ideas come to life. And that was his goal. And if it did, good, that's great, but that wasn't his motivation, which I kind of liked and kept that with me. And,
why did you like that?
Well, because that's kind of how I feel about things, about money or that kind of thing isn't my first motivation to do something. I have to be inspired. Same thing with like doing well-known characters in paintings. I don't do it for the sale. I do it because I have to feel something and be excited and inspired by it. And it was nice to hear someone else say that's okay. And then that was most of our talk, and he did never call me. I guess he had enough ideas, which he did, but it was just great getting to meet him and having that experience.
Well, maybe he's calling you now.
Maybe. And then I was fortunate enough to meet a few other people, connect with them, like Carol Spinney. Who does Oscar the Grouch and Big Bird. I met him a few times at art expo shows that I was exhibiting at, and he was showing his artwork. Because he was also an artist. I met him a few times there, and then I met him at a Comic-Con with him and his wife. And at one Comic-Con, I got a signature for Kimmy Schwimmy. And I had to explain to him who Kimmy Schwimmy was.
The imaginary world of Kimmy Schwimmy and Bopper's house will be.
Oscar the Grouch knows who Kimmy Schwimmy is.
Yes,
That's all I care about.
Yeah, and his wife and him was so nice to me. They gave me their address because I was going to do a painting of either Oscar or Big Bird for Carol Spinney, but unfortunately, before I got around to doing it, Carol passed away. Well, I am doing it now. maybe I'll get one to his wife or family.
Well, if you believe people pass away, I think Carol Spinney is
Here too.
somewhere in that painting right there.
Maybe. And I also had the pleasure of meeting Kevin Clash, who did Elmo, with my children, and got to talk to him a little bit. And now, my other thing, I happen to live in New York City near the Museum of the Moving Image, which happens to have a permanent exhibition of Jim Henson on display there, which I go and see often. And now I'm painting here in Gainesville, Georgia, and just so happens in Atlanta, close by, is the second permanent exhibition that they have of Jim Henson at the Center for Puppetry Arts here. So I get to see it when I'm down here too, which, coincidence? I don't know.
Well, you said you believe in signs,
I
so you
do,
can't go
yeah.
back.
So Muppets are popping up everywhere, and it's a good thing. Kermit's coming to life.
Can we take a break?
No, there's no breaks.
So, I have another question.
Sure.
I've noticed that this canvas is much thinner,
Thinner
let
than my
me show the
usual.
audience here, than your normal.
My usual gallery wrap.
Gallery wrap, that's
Yeah.
what they call it, okay.
This one has a thinner profile because I'm doing a series of portraits of different Muppets, including Kermit, that I will ultimately frame in an ornate frame that I'm going to alter the frames also. So it needs a thinner profile to fit in the frame.
Because a lot of these other paintings, people just throw them up on the wall, they don't frame them.
Yeah, you don't need to frame. You can frame them, but you don't need to. Because I always enjoyed painting on the thicker profile canvases because I could paint around the edges and continue to image around the edge.
So he will sit inside of an ornate
Frame.
and what will you do with that frame? Is it just going to be a plain?
Yeah, I'm going to sculpt a little on top of the frame and add some elements that have to do with each one of the characters, and then paint the frame a solid color of each figure for something a little different. And that was actually one of the first images that had come to my head when I thought about doing the Muppets. I wanted to do these portraits of each one of them and then have them in like traditional museum frames like the old masters, but alter them in a way, make them a little different. And Kermit is the first one I'm doing here. And rightfully so, since Kermit is Jim Henson.
I want hi-ho on the frame.
There will be hi-ho in the frame.
Say it.
Meow. Kermit the Frog.
Then there's going to be Oscar and the Count, Count von the Count, and Cookie Monster, Elmer.
Are you doing Miss Piggy?
Yes, I already have Miss Piggy
Oh,
ready to
that's
be sketched out.
JW's favorite.
Oh, that's better.
Did you switch brushes?
No, I just had to add a little more water. Paint starts to dry up and not be as fluid as I need it to be. So.
What's the good thing about acrylic?
Well, the great thing about acrylics is it dries very fast.
What's
The
the
bad thing
bad
about acrylics is it dries very fast. No,
I like that joke.
it's not really bad, but depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to shade and stuff, it's a little more difficult when it dries so fast.
Is painting with oil easier because of that?
Well, it's not easy. It's a completely different animal, but typically if you're going to be doing highly rendered stuff, you would use oil. I started out painting in oil because you could do a lot of shading because it takes a long time before it dries. It stays wet and pliable for a long time.
And why did you switch to this medium?
Well, I actually started with acrylics. I started painting denim jackets when I was in high school. Album covers on the back for my friends. And acrylic was best suited for that because acrylic is waterproof and it goes good on fabrics and it dries fast, so you can work pretty fast. And then I kind of liked acrylic. And then for pop art, of course, the bright colors, it lends itself really well to that. And again, it dries fast, so I can work quickly, get more done. And it doesn't take months and months to dry.
Is it more sturdy than oil?
Yeah, I would say so.
time?
Yeah, it's actually it's like a plastic, so it's kind of flexible. It has a little more flexibility than oil paint. Depending on how thick you use it, it can crack. Although if you use acrylic pretty thickly, it can crack over time too. But when I was painting jackets, I had to be careful not to paint too thickly because they were going to be worn and crushed and stuff. So. Machine sometimes.
Really? Did you use fabric paint?
No, I used acrylic paint, which is what fabric paint is, an acrylic-based paint also. But acrylic paint can be...
So then what's the difference between acrylic paint and fabric paint?
I think mostly when they sell you fabric paint, it's acrylic-based, but it's a thinner consistency. Most of them, if you buy tubes of acrylic paint just for painting, it's a little thicker consistency.
Is this as small as you like your black line to be?
Yeah, I could go maybe a little bit small, but I tend to like my stuff large because I just feel it looks better large. And my whole kind of intent behind what I was doing is I start with very tiny drawings and then I blow them up really big, so that's kind of part of it. I could go a little small, but I kind of feel like it looks like a print when it gets too small or an illustration rather than
You
painting.
lose the squiggle.
It's not so much that I can squiggle as tiny as I want, but...
Because you're a master.
I don't want it that tiny. I want it to be bolder.
You're a master squiggler. Master of squiggle.
I'm not quite sure how to take that.
I think that's a new catchphrase for you.
Master of the squiggle?
Does anybody else do this? Except for that one person who copied you, who I won't mention.
I don't know. No, I'm sure. It's just a kind of distorted line, which is kind of where it was born. I kind of like how things get distorted sometimes, and I started playing with copy
But this is not a
machines.
random line.
What do you mean?
It's not
Well-
random. It's literally how the pen bled into the page.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there is a little bit of randomness to it, which I kind of like because you don't really see it until you blow
No,
it
I'm
up.
saying you're
Yeah.
not painting it randomly.
No, I'm following exactly what my sketch was. My pen bleeds in the sketchbook that I use to make my tiny inch-sized drawings. So my drawings start off about an inch or so in scale, and then I blow them up. And then
You really want to talk about this?
sure, the texture of my line is how it's blown up. When you look at how the ink bleeds into the texture of the paper on kind of a almost microscopic level. You know, when you do a close up, it's not quite microscopic, but close. So.
And how did you discover that to
That?
begin with?
Well,
Was
I
it
said
an
it kinda-
accident? Or was
Kind
it-
of a, what you call a happy accident, where I had a thing for photocopy machines since I was little, when I used to go to my local library, and I remember I would work hours and hours on a drawing, and then I would go and make a photocopy of it at the library. I was making like additions before I knew what an addition was, but I kind of enjoyed the fact that I could spend hours on the thing and then put this in, and I made another one like in a moment. And then also when I started to like how little children drew, because I liked the randomness of it, it kind of all tied in. And then I was helping a friend make a portfolio to get into art school, to go back to become a art therapist. So I was helping him create a portfolio, and he didn't really have that much artwork, and I was trying to take a lot of what he did and make them into things. And one thing that he had was some sketches of these leaves that he drew with a pen, and I took them on my copy machine. So at the time, I actually bought my own commercial copy machine when I was young. I saved up my money and I remember carrying this like 150-pound photocopy machine on my lap on the subway home, but I had my own copy machine to make my own copies. And I was already playing with, I would make copies of copies, and I liked how it kind of distorted it each time. You blew them up and copied them, and how the lines would get distorted. And so I took his leaves, and I kind of liked the randomness of the line and how it blew up, and I remembered that. And then used it when I started doing these little sketches, and I went back to School of Visual Arts, where I got my degree from, to take a continuing ed class on silk screening, to learn silk screening. And I was trying to think, what am I going to do in the class for my silk screening projects? And I was like, oh, those little sketches I've been doing and blowing up would make a great silk screen, be something easy that I could do. And I had a religious experience pulling my first print of these things.
What does that mean, a religious experience?
Well, it just kind of, I don't know, it's just, I'm kind of being funny, but I kind of heard the angels, and it all just came together in my head. This is a thing.
You connected with the divine.
Yeah, and then my instructor, he did silkscreen prints for Andy Warhol and Rauschenberg, and he said, you know, these things you're doing in class, you could go to a gallery right now and start selling these things. And in that class, I started making every weekend I would pull another edition and did my first art expo with these prints. And that's how it all kind of began.
Did you go to a gallery?
Actually, I got my first gallery when I went to get them framed for the show. I went to a framing gallery in New York City, and
So you weren't trying to sell them to the gallery, you were just trying to frame what you had.
well, I was going to do the art expo, and I needed my prints framed, so I was working at the American Museum of Natural History at the time as an illustrator.
Wait, did I know you yet?
Not just, oh, you might have, yeah, you probably didn't, yeah. She knew me,
Yep,
yeah, as I was starting to create this thing.
because I remember your fear of walking away from
My fear.
the museum, the steady gig.
Oh, leaving the job, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a while after that. But yeah, so I was working there, and there was a gallery on Columbus Avenue on the Upper West Side that I saw that did nice framing. So on my lunch break, I would bring my silkscreen prints in there, and actually Tom Weiner was the gallery director there. and he was with a customer. And I said, I need some frames, and he told me to lay my stuff out on the table, and he'll be right with me when he was done. So I laid out my prints on the table, and when he finished with his customer, he came over and he said, where did you get these from? And I was like, I didn't steal them, I brought them in with me. And he's like, after we finished picking out frames, he wanted to talk to me. And when we finished, he said that he just started managing this gallery now, and he wanted to know if I would show my work there. And so my intent to doing Art Expo was to try to get into the fine art world and get galleries, but I got my first gallery before I even did the show, just by bringing my stuff to get framed. But
So
he
how
was
do
the
you see it?
first one.
Do you see it as luck? Do you see it as opportunity meets preparation?
Yes, the latter. I mean, you got to be
'cause
ready
you were
for
ready.
things when it happens, and you have to put a lot of sweat and tears.
You cried?
No,
Then don't say tears.
well, just kind of a saying.
Well, it needs to be corrected.
But it might have been some tears. I don't know.
I think sweat and love and happiness and joy and fun, curious interest.
Tears can be good too. You can have tears of joy.
So you're about to finish this line here on Kermit.
Yeah. Well,
Do you
the
have
first,
anything you want to say to Kermit the Frog?
welcome to my world.
Kermit, you have officially been hecked. To heck with Kermit.
In a good way. And this is his first coat. We'll give him a second coat when this one's dry, and then sign him. Now I have to paint the edges, even though you're not going to see them.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm going to do this.
Oh, Jiminy Cricket. Let me see this.
That's cool. I got to touch up that blue.
Nothing wrong with touching things up. I touch myself up all day long. That's cool. Now, this is when you sign it?
No. It
Or
has
you're gonna wait.
Yeah, I have to wait till it dries, because this one I have to see where the signature is going to show inside the frame, because we're going to lose a little bit of the edge in the frame, so I want to make sure I don't crop half of my signature out.
Don't want to do that.
So I have to measure it first and then sign it.